Erased Destiny. Chapter 15. I Don't Lose. The bonfires illuminating the camps not only helped discern the number and armament of the enemies, but made it easier to locate the overly numerous patrols. Men venturing further into the woods carried torches, and sentries looked out for each other. Every now and then, the night silence was cut by the shout of one of the men checking if anyone had noticed anything disturbing in the other camps. First, Etien wanted to use dense fog, as she did while dealing with Jared's men in Sintra, but the fog had few disadvantages. It could be easily removed by Mage accompanying Jared. Its range was too small to cover all camps, and it wouldn't dull shouts. Therefore, Etien decided to call upon a storm. She could do it, thanks to you, who had talent for water magic, but she required some time to gather energy. Half an hour was more or less enough to fulfill the task. The Seekers were first to notice dark clouds gathering above the hill. They waited for lightnings to strike the water and only then left their hideout in bushes. The heavy rain made it impossible to see clearly. It dulled all other sounds, extinguished bonfires and torches. Thugs hid under tents or blankets. Horses found their shelter under the trees. The main, if not the only, advantage of water camouflage was its non-dispersibility with fire. Equipped with water spells, thanks to Yumi's support, Etien didn't feel the loss of power as painfully as she had during previous clashes. She lacked angelic wings, lacked unlimited undead teleportation, lacked vampire camouflage, and the ability to turn into smoke, but at least the bandits were unable to spot her as she strolled through their camp. Water camouflage was perfect during the storm. It made Etien practically invisible. It worked even better than the spell of Shadow Wanderer that she frequently used. After going through the camps spread out on the right side of the river, Etien walked across the surface of the water to the Seekers' new hideout. Her quiet laughter caused by the sight of silt-laden, ossified men could be taken for the sound of falling leaves. As her foot touched the ground on the other side of the river, Etien whispered,
"Wait, there is barrier here. It informs the caster when someone crosses the line. I am almost certain that the person accompanying Jared is a former priestess, which makes our task more difficult."
Why is it even more difficult?
Etien formed a small projectile out of mud and hurled it in front of her. The grain sparked upon contact with the protective spell, leaving a colorful streak.
Zone of silence. I can camouflage us, mute our steps, but the removal of the barrier will alert the caster just as the breakthrough.
There are trees here. Is it safe to climb on them?
Only to fly over the trees. If you rush at Jared from above, the information about breaking through the barrier will be of no use to him. I will go alone. I will make a breach in the barrier, as long as I find the symbols. Hurl sand toward the trees. Only when it doesn't spark you can join me. Remember, do not break the barrier before I remove it. It doesn't matter what you see or hear. Do not cross the line.
Apart from the risky teleportation, the only thing Etien could think of was transformation into death, because for a phantom, it took an obscenely long time to return to human form. As death, however, she risked being sent away. A priestess specializing in fighting the undead could perform the ritual even with her eyes closed. Faster than a spectre could spot the most dangerous opponent among those accompanying Jared. Both paths carried the risk of death, but Etien preferred to disappear in a cloud of smoke than to be quartered by Jared's minions if she accidentally collided with them. She drew in the air to enjoy its scent, and her body covered itself with a black cloak. Her eyes followed the red spots moving among the trunks.
Beautiful evening. Cool. Just the way I like it.
Please be careful. There are many enemies ahead. As soon as it is safe, we join you and help in fight, or cover your escape.
Etien flew to the other side of the barrier. Slowly, majestically, barely moving. She was sure it was a few minutes before she reached the first trees and another before she approached the camp. In the meantime, she calmly counted her enemies, analyzed their health, fitness, and also parts of their resumes. Kepont Stronghold. That's where Jared was headed, to meet a friend who worked there. This friend of him must have been someone of importance, if Jared hoped for his support, asylum, or supplies. About the stronghold itself, Etien had heard little and nothing flattering. Unfortunately, she did not know where the fortress was located and whether Jared would get there within 24 hours or not. Therefore, she decided to act, not wait for possible support from the palace. Support that would deprive her of the full freedom of her life. The fact that the dead would not enjoy life at all, she did not think about. Nothing weighing death did not alert the priestess, who instead of casting detection of the undead was preparing to repel the attack of the living, but panicked Jared's horses, reluctant to the black aura, reacted to Etienne's presence. The yapping prompted the seekers to cross the barrier, although Etien did not remove it.
Someone is coming. Prepare yourself.
Password.
Jared looked in the indicated direction and put a dagger to Um's throat. With no response, the thug slit the girl's throat. Immediately afterwards, the arrows of the seekers pierced him, too late to have the desired effect. Etien glided toward the enemies, but in a spectral body, she moved too slowly to affect the battle. She concentrated on death trapped in her body, lest she take him. Around her, the bodies of Jared's guards were falling, and in the camps, a little farther away, no one realized that a battle was going on nearby. The zone of silence covered the entire area seen by Etien, unfortunately, along with the campfires located on the left side of the river. Also, the seeker faced at least 10 more bandits, and Etien heard nothing but Yume's whispering.
Have you come for me?
Bandage the wound. You won't die in the next hour. Dumb scouts. They never listen to what is said to them.
She returned to the human body, quickly outlined the symbol of death on Ume's forehead, and casted healing spell. The two of them climbed a nearby tree and watched the struggle from there.
Goldie, did I die?
Almost.
Does that mean I'm alive or not?
From a theoretical point of view, no. You are hanging between life and death, held in this world by my spell. Why do you ask?
Looked at her hands. She touched her face and then bit her finger.
Because I feel somehow so unreal. In fact, I don't feel anything. Shouldn't be something hurting me? If my throat is cut, how can I speak?
I'm talking to your spirit, which is still stuck in the body. No one except me hears you.
Etien calmly watched one of the seekers die. She thought that if someone tries to fight 1 to 5 in close combat, he shouldn't be the seeker in the first place. Surprise effect wore off. Bows were not effective against shields, and every minute of skirmish could bring more casualties. Still, there was a risk that someone would resurrect Jared.
May I cast spells?
Death domain spells the same as phantoms. That means no. Because of that, I have lost all elements as well. Please wait here. I need to replenish magical power. The battle may be coming to an end, but I need to modify the Seeker's memories. After I save them, of course.
Tien drank another potion. After that, she jumped down on the grass with an ancient hourglass in her hand. With poison ivy, she captured the bandit closest to her and turned him into dust. She did the same with Jared's corpse. After that, she turned all other dead bodies into skeletons and made them fight in her name. Attack of the undead turned the tides in favor of Etien. The Seekers used the opportunity to hide in the shadows and assassinate the last standing enemies. The skirmish was coming to an end. The Seekers, skilled in night battles, left the cornered thugs no room to maneuver. One dead, one barely breathing, other 3 suffered only scratches and minor wounds. The downpour drowned out the sounds of the battle, saving Etien from fighting even more bandits that night.
And if I fell from a tree, now would I break my legs? Or get myself killed?
Although her voice seemed to be a whisper, Etien, who was standing on the ground, heard it perfectly.
You would break some bones and that's it. You wouldn't feel anything. You would probably get up and move on.
Answering questions from May, inquiring about what had happened to her made it difficult for Etien to gather the power. The corpses were quickly losing energy, so the girl didn't get much out of them. She counted on the priestess, but the priestess fled by teleportation and Etien didn't have time to chase after her. Feeling worse and worse, Etien ate a piece of bread and drank yet another potion. She was glad she made many of them when she had time. As soon as the sounds of fighting quieted down and the Seekers checked in under Yum's tree, Etien gave them healing potions. They had no time to waste. Bandits could attack them anytime. The rain was getting weaker with every minute. After taking care of all the men, Etien returned to Uma. She rubbed the symbol off her head, made sure the girl was still alive, and removed the anti-teleportation barrier.
Yum, I know you are confused, and it is a lot to ask for, but please take us to your old house. If you cannot, I will take your magical power, but it is not a pleasant sensation.
I am fine, don't worry. Give me a minute to find the formula in my head and we can go.
Etien was worried if Um's mental state was stable enough to not kill them during teleportation, but fortunately, they appeared in one piece in Uma's old residence. They crashed with a wardrobe afterwards, but that was a small price for escaping from Jared's camp. Etien asked them to dry their clothes and the Seekers to lie down on an old carpet. She treated their mostly harmless wounds. After that, she paid the troop commander 10 silvers, the price for mission ranked a 1. When everything was settled and the Seekers started to gather their equipment, mostly playing cards and sleeping bags, Etien casted a spell on them. All 4 of them immediately fall asleep. To replace memories from few days in Sintra and one very intensive day outside, Etien needed time and quiet. Therefore, first she walked them home.
They won't remember that you were kidnapped and won't remember meeting me. Don't let the cat out of the bag.
Thanks, Goldie. You are the best. You saved me. Jared is dead. I'm so happy. My family is safe again. And the whole city. We will never repay you for what you have done for us.
You should really return home. Your father is worried sick about you.
Etien came back to the Seekers. She regretted taking them on the mission. They didn't help even a bit and consumed all her power resources. Drinking more potions would damage her stomach seriously. Fortunately, teleported them to Sintra. Otherwise, Etien would have to wait till morning somewhere safe, and safe places couldn't be found so easily. Thanks to sucking life and energy out of the bodies, Etien felt great, not tired even a bit, despite long time of no sleeping. She started memory modification right away. In the Etien-directed version of the mission, the Seekers never met her. No one kidnapped Ami, let alone killed her. The Seekers found the tunnel on their own. They ended up in an abandoned quarry, where they got into a skirmish with Jared and his men, because they were not careful enough and someone noticed them. Tien left most of the fight untouched to explain why only 4 of them returned to the palace. Defending themselves, the Seekers killed Jared and all of his henchmen. They got hurt, so after returning to Sintra, they visited a made-up local healer named Cecilia with the appearance of Joanna. After receiving the treatment, the Seekers settled the order with Uriel. They received their payment, returned to the base, but were too tired to look for a portal to the palace. They decided to spend a night in Uriel's old house. Etien carefully watched all the memories again to make sure that they are coherent with each other, that she didn't leave even a small trace indicating that someone modified anything. Sonja was fluent at mind magic. She would notice anything out of order. Before the sunrise, Etien left Sintra to not meet the Seekers by accident and not invoke their real memories. She returned to the quarry to plunder it for an extra income. She wanted to get 20 silvers from Uriel, in addition to upfront payment of 50 coins, 10 for the Seekers, 2 for a tracker, and 8 for Hume's lessons. She was already rich enough to buy any house she liked, but to travel around the world in search of Nathan, she needed some more.